Okay, hello there. I'm trying yet something new again. This video is the result of there is a reason behind this video, and it's not just tapping into this planning train of bullet journal community and marrying it together with the piano practicing, music practicing, and learning journaling community. Not exactly. This is a personal attempt to organize my own work over the next 3 months. The work that is not exactly related to my full-time job. So that's my personal why for this video, and I hope you will find some of this useful for yourself. Now, it did take me 25 minutes before starting this non-stop video that you are listening to right now to put something together, but those 25 minutes created a strategic algorithm, framework, hub, desktop of sorts, physical desktop of sorts, for 3 months. If that's too much, then I would propose, and I'm starting this video with quick exploration of what you can do with the pocket version of the music practicing journal. The bullet journaling community doesn't exactly tap into that because I don't think that generally we have this pain point. We're not that community doesn't necessarily consider the pain point of music students going to the practice room, and when you only have 2 hours, that's not the time to start working on your spreads and sheets. So sometimes this is all you realistically need to actually help you with your practicing, not to yet add another layer of your planning. I mean, the cost of that, I will tell you what you can do in the pocket. So, and just to finish that thought, you could use the both, and I see myself using both systems, the larger size and the small one. The small one is what you use in the practicing session. It is something that lives in your pocket and lives with you in the music stand. And you quickly write a few things down. What kind of things? I will tell you in 30 seconds. This can be before or after, more of a reflective, more of a strategic, putting down the deadlines, putting down observations, once again, planning for 3 months. You can get 3 of these in a dollar store for $1.25. You can get 3 of these in Walmart for under $2, I believe. That's what they run for in summer 2026, and that's still what's going to be happening in a few years. Or you can be fancy with something Japanese. I probably will keep using this version for myself, or my actual pocket notebook that I'm using for, I don't know, grocery lists, daily tasks, or small ideas. Putting that aside, nonetheless, what can you do with something like this? So whenever you're practicing, you can write down what is it you need to keep practicing next day. And I'm blanking on, surely I may have mentioned these ideas in some of the previous videos. So just quick note, page 31, exposition, or something I need to practice on Tuesday if it's Monday. If you had a revelation of sorts, some kind of an insight, hey, this fingering really works. Now, the extent to which this is useful to you depends on how much of this tool or this tool do you use in your music, in your sheet music, as well as this crumbly tool, or better yet, if you use tablet, iPad, and use electronic pencil, well, good for you. That doesn't work for me, so I'm using this. If you already take excessive notes that work for you over there, wonderful. Then the use for this is minimal. But if you don't take that many notes there, this may be just what will help you to organize your practicing for the rest of the week, for the following day, without any friction, because it's going to take you 10-30 seconds just to write something down. So a micro log of sorts. We're going to, I can be talking and talking. There was a video I didn't upload in which I got another goodies from a Dollar Tree store, and I tried to put together a system, and I did. But then I didn't exactly record, I didn't publish the video. But the proof of concept is kind of here you can do the same thing what I'm about to show you in a regular composition book. It's going to take a bit more time because you would need to measure things down, but you can use this. You don't need to get something fancy or expensive. For something like this, I do prefer to use the dotted grid paper. You can use graph paper just as fine. And similarly, you don't have to go fancy. Something like this you can acquire quite cheaply from Walmart or different places. As I mentioned in the other video, now we're diving into the main course for this video. This is actually something I put myself together exactly a year and a half ago, right before January of 2025, and I clearly never used it. So, which is why an hour before recording this video, I jumped ahead to the next clean page and I've started the fresh one. Tinkering was what I did before. Tinkering with my actual version of the bullet journal that I used to use 3-4 years ago, at least when it comes to trackers, monthly planning and things like that. And so that's how this came to life. And we'll see how much of this I will be using for the next 3 months. So, the first process to do is to count lines, spaces, lines, grids. For this particular page, it turned out I have 49 lines or graph squares and 36 or so. This will be useful because then you have an idea how you can, what kind of layouts you can use for the pages depending on what you need for your system. Once again, this video and potentially post on Substack is just a brainstorming idea of what you can do. The system is only going to work for you if you make it your own, if you make adjustments, and if you prioritize what is it that you try to, what is it that you need to fix, what are your pain points, what is going to help you. Just because somebody wakes up at 4 in the morning and they claim on the surface that that's great for them, doesn't mean it's going to work for me. So page number 1. So first step, take an inventory of how much space you actually have. Step number 2, as you're filling this thing up, add the page numbers, unless some books, like the one right here, does have page numbers already printed in here. This is empty. I just put this system together. In a few weeks, when I actually start using this, I will upload a quick video as a follow-up and to show you how it became my own rather than currently a collection of layouts. So moving on, the first page, which is page number 2, is going to be your index in which you're going to put together, you're going to highlight on which page in your book are different spreads, and by spread meaning could be a page with your particular month's planning, or 5-10 pages that are all allocated for a particular piece that you're practicing and the progress of which you're tracking. So that's why index is important. The second page I kind of left open for some miscellaneous ideas that's related to the system. If you watch some video and you find something useful that you want to use going forward, you could jot them down, write things down here. I want to try this spread, this might work for me. Just a collection of ideas in one place. So kind of marrying for myself, marrying an idea of commonplace book and actually practicing planner. Page number 4 is going to be my win list. There is a phrase that you're probably familiar with: success creates success, or success breeds success. So whenever you achieve something, you memorize something, you performed well something, or there's some different achievement, write it down. So when you go through your book, you can remind yourself of little wins from the past. Next to it, gratitude list. Once again, if you were to try something like this, make it your own. I put them in order after being inspired from various systems that I have seen, have I watched on YouTube and other places over the past 5-6 years. It doesn't mean necessarily I've used them in an extent, but that made sense to me, and that's why gratitude list is here. The next one, page 6, would be your vision or becoming board, as I picked up from a different productivity videos. What are you trying to become? To reframe this, what kind of a person you want to be on September 1. In this case, this was taken from planning at the start of the year. So when you start this on January 1, what kind of a person you want to be 12 months later on December 31. Your goals for next 2 to 4 years, it's a version of 1 year goal, 3 years goal, 5 years goal. I like 2 to 4 for myself. So I'll put something down here. This general goal planning is something that I do in a different place. So if I will use this at all, it's going to be just related to personal playing, personal conducting aspirations. Personal meaning not necessarily related to the full-time job I have right now. I'm going to come back to this later because this is the called Wheel of Life. Some of you may be familiar with this kind of a self-assessment, psychology work system. Now this doesn't look like a wheel. I tried to put a wheel for myself several years ago. The 8 parts weren't enough for me, so I have like 16 here, and clearly after the years I still haven't used it, and it took time for me to make this neatly. So this will do just as fine. I will come back to it just a bit later. I'm going to leave this for the moment to keep the momentum going. I left a few pages empty. That's the wonderful thing about the flexibility of this system. You don't have to have complete pages. If you have an idea that you're going to come back to it, just create some space and you'll fill it up later. All right, page 12, I am going to fill up with a repertoire list, a list of pieces I need to be studying, learning for the next season, 2026-2027. That's going to include my personal piano and conducting aspirations as far as my work-related stuff. On the right side is going to be either repertoire continued and part of this, some aspirations, some dream pieces, something that I would like to explore in the following season. I already have kind of a piano plan for the next 7-8 years that relates to Johannes Brahms, so I will put something for myself here. The next page for me is taken once again different inspiration from the 12-week year system. And I had a similar thing here earlier in this book for literally first quarter, second, third, and fourth. I'm starting this in the middle of the year, but it kind of works beautifully as if we think about the seasons, because here I have third quarter, July, August, September, fourth quarter, first quarter, second quarter of 2027. Just general outlines, general projects, nothing too concrete, because for that, for myself, I have the next spread. So that's the system. It might look a bit overwhelming, and I have a different thing in mind, and this kind of got evolved as I did this. We have, in this case, summer layout, June, July, August. I'll explain this in a second. In a bullet journaling community, frequently you have a single month's layout, so that's where those numbers and the dates come from. But I tinkered with this, and I tinkered with quarterly system, even though there are 2 quarters that are overlay right now. But summer is our sprint right now, is our spread. So for me, that's how it's going to work for this time around. I might restart next quarter from September or from October. The point being, this is where you can be concrete. This is where you can have a kind of from 1 to 31, put down the deadlines, put down different events that are going to happen, kind of a 3 months calendar spread. Here I left spaces for, this worked for me in the past, that's why I created side by side the week number, I don't know the number, week number 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, or weekly, just general, like this week I want to complete this week I need to complete this. So whether it's, I know this is going to be personal related, not work related. This is my second full-time job, I suppose. So concrete day by day spread with just highlighting the ends of the weeks just to make it a bit more visual, easy to follow. And larger spread right next to it. The bottom part is just general notes I need to take. I wrote down for myself summer learning / preparation notes. Anything related that can't be taken care of in other sheets yet that relates to these 3 months, but abstract enough without a particular deadline to be yet put into concrete space. And this is actually currently the last spread. This is the weekly layout. This is something that worked for me in the past, so I foresee myself using it again. And the main body going forward of the next pages is just basically going to be daily logs and daily reflections. I left the space at the bottom of this page. You would need to do something like this if you were to try it every week, unless you create for yourself a monthly tracker of something. But something like this is actually what I've started with 6 years ago, and I believe I tracked like 6 things: exercises, reading, playing, conducting, and 2 others I don't remember right now. What also worked for me in the past is to have something that's called in a different community Kaizen hour, in which you reflect what you did before, or what you did after the week. And this is where this personal journal comes in handy for me, so it's not probably something I'm going to be doing here. But what I would suggest for you is music-related stuff. Before the start of the week or start of the day, ask yourself, what small step could you take today which will improve your situation, whatever that is. And once again, this could be strictly music making related. At the end of each week, or the end of each week or day, you could write down and reflect for 5 minutes or less what went well today, what could you improve, what is your plan for tomorrow. If this is practicing journal, this stuff can be strictly related to music making. So therefore, once you'll be looking into what to do next, it's all going to be in one place. You won't be searching for it. What else should I say? Well, trackers, what to track, and then we're going to go to the Wheels of Life music edition. I haven't exactly seen that online, so it's not exactly my creation, but it's inspired by other things, but it's my suggestion. Those were my habit trackers, and I've tried to play around with different layouts in the past, and then I gave up on them. For the past 2 years, I've tried again, having a separate single sheet printed with things I know I need to track. From another video I haven't published, I have this set of personal goals, ideas, things I need to attend to, and this is tied to a quarter, so my goals for 3 months. Most of them are not related to the work. So this serves as a separate screen that I can glance over at any time. I don't need to flip pages back and forth. This was one of my pain points using bullet journal and using monthly spreads, which I tried to resolve by using different notebooks around, just laying and having them opened, but it also didn't work exactly. But what can you track here? This is kind of something that ties to the Wheel of Life, which I'm talking about very shortly, but for here and now. So we have 2 rows, 2 columns, and we have 10 total here. It could be 3, could be 5. The less is more right now, so you don't spend too much time trying to figure out what is it you would need. I used to track reading, I used to track sleeping hours, I used to track whether I meditated, journaled, or practiced, or walked, exercised, things like that. What I see myself doing is whether I've warmed up, how much those could be turned into how much of the piece I practiced. Like you literally can see if the piece is, for example, 500 bars long, the 100% of that would be 500 bars, and each 10%, each 1 square could become, if you make it into 10 squares or 20 squares, could become 5% or 10% of that piece. That would be natural progress tracker. But we're we're diving into different territory, which I haven't recorded yet, but some kind of a progress tracker for each piece, which the middle of the book can serve that. As I was saying earlier in this video, you could just save a couple of pages for each piece and just track what is it that you do in each piece, at which stage of each piece you're currently in, whether it's a sight reading stage, you're playing fluently. I certainly have mentioned those different milestones of progress in a different video, and if I won't forget, I will include that link to that video in the description to this one. The trackers is up to you, but once again it boils down to the less is more. Start with 3 or 4. Whether you warmed up that day, whether you worked on your sight reading skills, whether you memorized something, whether you played through something you worked on before. I'm going to jump to the Wheel of Life. So I'm not going to explain system in detail because there are experts out there who would do it in a more concise fashion, and you're only one quick YouTube search away from that. Once again, I didn't do the wheel, actually, just the life is too short, it takes too much time for the purposes, especially if you're not, and you or me not going to do this actually ever again. But I broke down the 8 categories, 8 quadrants, whatever you call them, if it was actual wheel, into 8 stages of being a musician. You can make it 4, you can make it 12, you can make it 16, whatever makes sense to you. And I kind of grouped them actually here. These 3 are together, I'll explain in a second. These 4 are together, and this is kind of ties back to the first 3. The basic idea, so the categories are sustainability, where the music fits into your life integration, what it says. Musical community / lifelong learning. Could be collaboration, could be how much you're helping others, how much support you get from others. Physical condition, your health, your physical health. Do you have any pains? Are you taking care of yourself? You're walking, you're exercising. Now we're moving on to music. Your technical mastery. And I would put sight reading, memorization skills into that same category. Musical expression, basically your interpretation and your skill in being very detailed about figuring out your why and how much you're going to do something in the music, how much dynamics, how much rubato, and so on and so forth. Repertoire breadth, your repertoire ecosystem. I know I spent too much time in the romantic repertoire. I used to over the past decade, if not more. So Baroque or contemporary are my weaker points. Etudes are my weaker points. So that would be that, to my mind. Your performance state. How nervous are you getting and what you're doing about that? Are you playing? If performance is something you have to be doing regularly, if competitions is something you have to be doing regularly, are you, for example, giving yourself enough space for playthroughs or for having mock performances? Now that would be that category. And finally, your musical self-image, kind of tying this wheel of life into Maxwell molds, and the video I have already done before, and another video we'll do in the future, / something, the term I have just picked up from the conference, artist citizen. What is it that you do that shows your stance on the world civic matters? So those are the 8 categories that I see working for myself, and this is how it works. This goes from 1 to 10, and you kind of assess yourself. Where do you feel you are? Like if you are feeling good about your civic engagement, you can put yourself into 9. So this becomes this progress bar all the way here. If you feel really nervous, you could scale yourself at 2. You're here at this moment. If you're feeling you are excellent or you're fair sight reader and fair with your technical ability, you grade yourself here, and so on and so forth. I'll leave it there because this is fake and I'll have to reassess this. Then what I would suggest, and that's what system suggests for Wheel of Life, actual categories are like, your life, your relationship, your work, your finances, leisure time, friends, things like that. So this is just strictly music related, the way I see this working for me. And I'm actually curious to find out how it can work for you once you try it. The next step is actually, perhaps even before grading yourself. Now, grade yourself first. Then, write down sustainability here. Write down where you graded yourself. You're at 3. Why is it at 3? So just quick reflection, a couple of sentences. Don't turn this into a scary, overwhelming adventure. A couple of sentences. Why is it 3? No criticism, only pure, friendly self-assessment if you were helping a friend, not if you're doing mean talk to yourself. And what would it take to become 4? So in other words, somewhere here, perhaps you would have been reflecting on technical mastery. And if you're right now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if you're now at, let's say we're 5. What would it take to become 6? This would create actionable items, action points for yourself. And you would know what to focus on over the next week of practicing or over the next 3 months. So this potentially, and this is why that's where it is. It's on page 8 for me, because I see after I do this exercise, I can start filling in particular ideas in connection to just general reflection on the as per quarter, just strategic outlook, and then getting more specific time narrow. What else? This is where I'm bringing the idea of the SMART. Each task, each goal has to be specific, measurable, actionable, time constraint, and something else. Reachable, and there's time limit. So next actionable item, what does it take for you? Oh, the final in connection to that. Some of that data, first of all, pick 1 or 2 to take care of over the next period of time. Don't try to do all 8 at once. And naturally, you'll find yourself quite good in some of them, so let them be there. And even if you're going to focus on something else that you're really bad, and this will naturally probably drag something down, that's okay. It's not going to be perfect balance, just period. And this is not me saying this is the actual will of life, saying that when you have an actual will, it's not going to be balanced. It's not going to be will of balance, will of life. It's not going to be balanced. We can be striving for it, but the striving is the purpose, not achieving that perfect balance. You could track some of those things that you will figure out after this reflection. What is it you need to address over the next months or couple of weeks? And you just track your things down here. This is where this could become really powerful for you and for me, and really clear. I believe this is it in a nutshell. Let me see if there is anything I left from my notes. This became a longer video, and it will be this kind of a video. I'm not trimming it down. Life is too short. I will leave few timestamps for you. Yeah. As far as something that in the bullet journaling community called daily log, which is this just main space, ignore these lines, will be for you. Just what worked for me. I did not do pre-week reflection, but when I gave myself time to just reflect after the week has passed, just take a page, and I have them in this notebook. I just reflect on events and trying to do something better next week. That was helpful for me, so I would encourage you to use this space for that activity. This is where this simply isn't going to cut it. This space is useful, and just put it on the desk and write things down. This is it. Next videos will be shorter, and you will see my face again. I'm sad that I won't get to use the system for the next couple of weeks, actually, because I won't be able to play piano regularly for the next couple of weeks. But as I mentioned in the video, this is going to be my personal challenge to at least use this to some form some extent over the next 2 months. And I will show you the follow-up, how it looked like, because it's going to be personal information, but not personal. It's personal projects, but not sensitive data. So I will see you in the next video. If you stayed all this long, thank you for doing that. I hope there is some value, and I hope for the third time you will turn this into your own system that can work for you.